Huh. Wow. Holy crap, man. From where we started to where we are is way, way off. Holy smokes, man. Okay, so look at this. As I was coming around that way, it was cutting so much off. Like it kept going over and over and over. Like you could see each time it was, look how much it cut over there. I had to start from the other side and come back around. This isn't going to be really a problem when I go to pull it. The only thing is there's going to be one small section of copper in here. I've penetrated all the way through here and there, but there's going to be like 2 coils. Once I pull this out, I can probably get this apart and knock out those little pieces. This is not ideal. And being that I cut this so far over, this might be problematic to get out. I don't know. We're about to find out. I'm pretty sure I got to bring this down at least one thing. Now, as you can see, I'll have a couple pieces where I cut it. I'll have to try to get as much of that copper as possible. Man, I can't believe it. Also, I took a huge chunk out of that blade. All right, let me get this other thing set up, and then we're going to start pulling copper. All right, we're set up to pull some copper now. Now, hopefully this little ram, I got to get to my buddies, man. He's got my ram for me. Hopefully this little ram will get the job done. Oh, ho, ho. All right. This is why you gotta make sure you split that in the middle. Wow. Wow. I mean, this might be a cooker, I don't know. Ho, 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 ho. Wow. I think the other side will be a little easier. Okay, so I'm going to tighten up this thing 2 notches. Let's see if I can't get a little more stroke out of that. Oh, wow. Okay. This That is pulling so hard. Huh. I'm gonna rotate that a little bit. These are the ones I'm telling you, man. If I cut one side and tried to pull that, I would have no choice but to cook this. I'm gonna try and get this to come out of here, but I doubt it. Oh, there it is. This thing is pulling so hard, man. Like, I don't think you realize, well, I guess you don't because you're not here. I can feel it on here, man. I might have to get this stuff off of there. I need my other ram back over here. Snap. Wow. Wow. That's a new development. I don't know if that just happened, but that thing is bent. And I'm not getting the full, for it to touch. It is now, yeah, that just happened. It is now beyond. Holy smoke. Wow. I gotta rethink this a little bit. Problem is, it's pulling so many of them at once. There it is. Problem I'm having with this, I don't have enough stroke. It's not letting me get on there with a good bite. Wow. Huh. Okay. I gotta fix my things because they're not grabbing, which is a problem. Okay, I'm back at it. It's another day. What happened was I wind up taking this thing off and heating it up with the torch and straightening it out. So now, let me see. Now we have a solid pinch. And the way I made these blades when I redid them and I reinforced all this stuff, let me disconnect this, it'll make it easy. You know, I was worried about these things actually pinching the copper, and it was actually doing that right here. This thing was pulling so freaking hard, it bent this big giant piece of metal. This is 1/2 inch thick stuff. I never thought it would have bent like that. But the way I designed it, as you can see, this one actually fits inside a cup on this one, and it like bends and puts a kink in the copper, and that kink hopefully will, like, you know, help it not want to just slide out, or help it from not just pinching it. You know, if these two sharp points were like together, it might just pinch it so hard it'll, you know, go right through. So I straightened that back out. That's good. And I also straightened back out my handles, because they were, when this thing was closed, these were actually crossing over. And how that came about is when I turn this sideways sometimes, like this, and I'm pulling really hard, the table actually bends it. You know, I just, usually when I put this on and I start pulling, I step back you know, and I don't touch it because if, you know, I'm holding this and then it breaks or something, you know, shoots back, you know, I don't want to have it slamming into my wrist or something like that. So we're going to put this thing on this little thing and see how we're working. I did, right before I had to stop, I did get a couple nuggets to actually break free. There is a lot of glue and shellac resin holding this thing together. So hopefully, now that we got like a starting point, we can get in there and start pulling out. This might be a tedious one little section at a time, but we did break it loose. It is coming out. What I'm going to do is just keep that pressure right there. Okay. Yeah, this one's going to work my patience, but I got to find my gloves. Hold on. The reason I didn't come back last night is, one, me and my wife had date night. We went to Hibachi. And two, I had to stop and offload the trailer, which you'll see here in another video, why I offloaded it and what we went to go pick up on our way to date night. She got a really good deal on something off Marketplace that we've been wanting for the ranch. And sometimes, man, when you get a good deal, you just got to jump on it. Oh, there we go. Oh, this is gonna be a tough, tedious one, man, I'm telling you. It's not so bad once you get one started. Man, I hope this was worth it. Now, this is one of those ones when I hear people say, oh, just cut it one side and knock it out. That is not, this is not that kind of party, man. That is not happening. I really wish this, I like how fast this moves, but I don't like that it's not powered in the other direction. Uh-oh. That's a problem. Find my screwdriver. Trying to isolate that from the other one a little bit. There we go. Wow. You know what the problem is? They're like double stacked in there. So you got like 2 coils in the same thing. But once I get a little opening on there, it's actually coming out. I just need to kind of grab one little section at a time. I'm actually going to rotate this a little bit. Maybe I'll start pulling, trying to loosen this other stuff up. Once you start kind of cracking the glue, you can see it's got a lot. It's going to come, but it's going to be a battle. And half the battle is I don't have enough stroke. So this little bit here is just not getting it. If we had twice as much of that, that'd actually be really nice. But we got the power, because it literally bent this 1/2 inch thing. I mean, this is a serious puller, and it bent the crap out of it. Well, the one thing I'm worried about happening is this bolt shearing one day. That's why once I get pressure on it, I kind of back away from it. It's doing its job. I mean, it's getting it. Yeah, you would have to cook this. There's no way without super hard hydraulics that you're getting this out, because it's in there so tough. If you started beating from the backside, the only thing you're going to do is mushroom it and lock it in. You know, it has to be either pulled out with brute force like what I'm doing here, or cook it, you know, and then you're losing a lot of weight and a lot of paper. Normally I try to get out and don't disturb none of this stuff here, because I leave that on there and sell it as the number 2 copper. Okay, we're back at it, and unfortunately I decided we needed a copper barbecue. It was coming out, but it was so tedious, and I was actually breaking the copper. I was pulling so hard, and I literally damaged my puller as well. Also, while I was cooking that, I decided to cook off these motors. So I just wanted to see. Oh, nice. That is a solid chunk of copper. It's a little dusty. Probably need to get my mask on out here. Well, there you have that. Each one of those had a nice little chunk of number 2 copper. That's solid. It's fine hair, but that's a solid little chunk. So those brake motors, unfortunately, the only way I see of getting that copper out of there is to cook them. Now, eventually, I'll be able to do that with no, like, crap or toxic stuff. I'll burn it in the incinerator, and all that shellac and stuff won't be going where it shouldn't be. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So I'm going to get that thing back up on the table, and we're going to see how easy it is to pull the copper out now. We're going to use the self-loading feature of this press. I put this on here just in case if I didn't have a forklift or, you know, the Kubota or whatever. Well, actually, I didn't have that machine when I put this on here, or a forklift. Now, eventually, I'd like to make this electric. But, you know, if you don't have electric, this will definitely do the job. Okay, she definitely got crispy. Oh, I think that's gonna come right out. Now, I really don't like doing that for a couple reasons. One, it's just not good to burn this stuff. Two, you're losing a lot of weight. You know, I think the copper actually loses some weight by itself, and then you're burning off all the glue that you could be getting paid number 2 copper price for. So let me get the hydraulics set up, and then we'll see how easy this pulls. Now I'm wearing a respirator because this stuff, once you burn it, that stuff gets everywhere. Man, I can't even see. That damn sun is like right in my eyes. This is going to be some tedious stuff, man. The whole issue is I'm only pulling that little bit, and by the time the chains pick up and it creates tension, I'm only getting like half the stroke out of this, and it's just, this is not it. I'm just gonna time lapse this because this is gonna take a while. I need that ram that has 30 inches of travel, because this is not it, man. Yeah, we got a lot of work to do. The system needs a lot of upgrades, man, because we need to be able to, this needs to be able to be ripped right out. I need bigger tongs, bigger hydraulics. I just need a bigger setup altogether. I got a guy down in Miami. He's got some big, heavy steel, thick stuff. So I told him to set it aside for me. Hopefully, when I go back there, he'll have it, and we can actually start building something that's gonna just shred these big motors, because this ain't it. When I bent that thing the other day, I can't believe I bent this whole entire thing. I'm surprised that I'm waiting for that bolt to shear one day. That's like the weak point. We're gonna have to, we need a better setup. We need something a little more capable. So anyway, I'm gonna just keep pecking at this. I think once I get this big bird nest out of the way, I can get back in there on these coils and start pulling it. It's pulling a little easier. Still hard, man. Still really hard. And it wouldn't be that much of a problem if I can get it in one stroke. But I'm having to pull it, move the chain. It's just, this is a nightmare. But we'll get it out. We'll see if it, you know, obviously doing it this way is not worth it. It's way too much time involved. But with the other ram and being able to pull this in one shot, that's gonna be worth it. Okay, well, we got that one side out, and once I was able to grab it, it actually was coming out pretty easy. It was just the difficulty of actually clamping down on it and not having enough stroke. I keep having to move the chain 3 times per pull. That's just ridiculous. We got to do better. So let's see how this one does. Now this one should be easier for 2 reasons. 1, it's cooked. 2, it's not as deep as that last one. See what happens. See if we can't get a good good grip on it. Ah. That thing's happening. We are freaking loose. Okay. Wow. Wow. That's what I'm talking about, man. Man, I don't know why that other one couldn't have been that easy. And that is why when you split these, you got to split them in half. There, I'm telling you right now, without burning it, there was no way you were going to cut one side of this and pull that out. Just half of it bent my heavy duty puller. This thing's a beast. That's 1/2 inch thick plate right there that thing's made out of. And it bent it like it was nothing. So that's done. I got a bunch of copper on the ground I'm going to clean up. We'll get this over on the scale, get it weighed. Unfortunately, we cooked it, so it's going to be a little light. I don't know how much we lost. Maybe 5%. I don't know. I'm not sure. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna actually do that one day. If I get 2 exact same motors, I'll split them, pull the copper one way, I'll cook it, we'll pull the copper another way, and we'll see what the actual difference is. That's actually something that's good to know, because we're losing money burning that stuff, man. And not having a proper hydraulic setup. Alright, so we have a portion of the steel. Now I'm keeping those bearings and that key and the thing right here. We got a 144 on just the end cap. And that stuff, I'm going to weigh that next, then the iron, then the aluminum, then the copper. Okay, that's the rest of the case. 289. We still got the cord away, or the stator part. And finally, 185 on the stator. And I just checked this ring. I thought maybe it was aluminum or something. It's steel. It's magnetic. So I guess they put that on there to hold all that crap together. I don't know. First time I've seen that. 193 on the iron aluminum. 45 pounds on the cast aluminum. Okay, then we have the number 2 copper. We have 126 minus 36. So what's that, like 90 pounds of copper? That's gonna be close. I think we're gonna make a little money, but like that last big one I did, there was like $50 in profit on a big motor. Now here's the deal. When you do one motor and get 50 bucks opposed to like a whole bunch of small ones and get 5 or 10 bucks, I'm okay with that. The thing is, we need to scale up to accommodate this stuff and get that $50 out quick. We shouldn't be messing with these more than like 20 minutes. We should be able to do 3 of these in an hour or more, 4 an hour. That's the goal. Let me add this up and see where we're at. Okay, here's the numbers. So, for those of you who guessed, that thing weighed 946 pounds. Now I paid 35 cents a pound, so I paid $331.11 for that. Now, going forward, I'm gonna try and get them a couple cents cheaper because it's just so much iron. There was 618 pounds of prepared steel, 8 cents a pound. Now these are numbers, these prices are what I got last time I was at the scrap yards. They could go up or could go down at this point. 49.44, iron aluminum 193, 15 cents a pound, 28.95. Cast aluminum 45 pounds, 66 cents a pound, 29.20. And number 2 copper 90 pounds, 410 a pound, $369. That's actually really nice. For a total of $477.09 minus the $331, that's $145.98 profit in that motor. Now, not all the time are you going to get that cast, so you can minus the 45. You know, I mean, you'd minus a little bit of cents on that half. So let's say half was 30, you know, it'd be like 12, 13 bucks less profit. That's probably the most profit in a big motor that I've ever seen. Now, it did take me a while because of the short stroke ram. You know, it just wasn't getting the job done. I will be tomorrow going to pick up my proper hydraulics. And I didn't split that thing evenly. Now the blade, someone had made a comment that that thing, you know, destroyed the blade, or I broke my $500 blade on that one motor, and you know, that doesn't pay for it. Here's the deal. There was already chips in here from a bunch of other stuff, and it was not that particular motor. It was slicing through it like butter. The problem was, something's going on with my machine, because on the smaller motors it was doing the exact same thing. This is either bent, right? It's either bent, or when I put it in here, something's bent. I gotta try to square this thing up better, because it's not coming down straight. Or I'm not holding it straight. I don't have a V. The fact that I was this far off, that's the problem. I was coming in there like sideways. And even though I would plunge the blade and I'd pick it up so it would reset itself so everything was straight, it was still doing weird stuff. Something's weird is happening that wasn't always happening. I don't know if it's the press, it's the blade, what's happening, but I've split bigger stators than this, much bigger, and I didn't have that problem. I didn't break the blade, and it wasn't these little It wasn't these. It sliced through that like butter. And the blade is not destroyed. I'm actually just gonna, I can just grind it back a little bit and I can get my point back on there. I liked it better when it had a point. But even with the chip, it's still cut through all that stuff. It's the problem is I'm not square. You know, something's going on. If you guys ever see the proper machines that this blade actually is made for, this blade is actually made for a electric motor cut-in machine. The trolley, this piece here that goes up and down, has things, round things that are on like a cylinder. It's literally like, they literally have what looks like cylinder rod and then guides with bushings where it can only go straight up and down parallel. Okay, I don't have that. This thing here has the ability to wiggle. Just I tighten these up as much as I can, but this thing does have the ability to wiggle around a little bit. Okay, I need to tighten all that up. Not necessarily right here on this machine, because this is going to be more of the cracker and the do-all. On the next setup that I do, that's going to be dedicated to the blades, I'm going to have two of them. We're going to have a smaller one for the small majority blades, and then we're going to have a monster blade. And I already got some things in the works. I'm talking to my boy about it, how we're going to get it done, things that I want to do, and how we can achieve the final result. You know what's crazy? Looking at these chips, it's almost like, it almost, the way it chipped, it almost looks like it's two different metals. But it's just a weird, it's like a hardened, but not too hard blade. I really need some like AR500. I mean, years ago, I ordered off of Amazon a blade from the front of a front end loader. You know, I know I've gotten a lot of comments about that, and I appreciate that, but I've thought about that years ago, and for whatever reason they never shipped it. I got my money back, and then I wind up just buying this blade. But I was going to use the cutting edge of a tractor and make my own blade. I mean, I might do that, you know, like the cutting edge of a bulldozer or something like that. But you know, the blade's not ruined. I'll just grind it back. I'll lose a 1/4 inch of penetration. I normally don't drive that thing down all the way anyway, and we're going to be making new blades. So but I got to get this thing sorted. After cracking that thing, I have a couple opinions about that. You see that slow motion, that thing just exploding in here. Yeah, so definitely a shield. But then there's something else that I have once I get that other hydraulic back that we're going to be doing here, that's going to actually help with that cracking. And I probably won't have to rotate it the next time. So stay tuned for that. And the next mod, it's going to be an awesome mod, the next one. Because when I get that cylinder back over here, I don't want it getting ruined by side loading it or doing weird stuff. And we're also going to have to obviously get the right pump. These little pumps just aren't doing it. I like the speed of this one. The speed pulling is nice. That's actually a decent, that's actually decent. The return is, you know, whatever. But that's an okay speed right there. I'm alright with that. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. We got a bunch of transformers up on the table. We've been breaking down some lights that I got. So stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before?